Hi everyone, this is Amy from Amy A. Crawley Fine Art, and today I'd like to share with you how to put together a basic polymer clay toolkit. Now I teach a number of classes, and several of those classes are for the beginner in polymer clay, and I'm often asked, what type of tools should I buy or repurpose from my craft room or borrow tools that I can use with polymer clay. So in this video I will share with you some of the basic tools for your beginning polymer clay kit. So for your basic polymer clay tool kit, let's start with your work surface. Now you don't want to work with polymer clay directly on the surface of a table because polymer clay does have a plasticizer in it, and you wouldn't want that to stick to or damage the surface of your table. So a very simple work surface is wax paper. You can take a sheet, tape it to your tabletop. You can also use these small folded wax paper. These are also referred to as deli sheets, and these make a nice small work surface. Another option is index cards or a sheet of white paper. The only thing you need to be aware of when you use paper and polymer clay is the oils from the polymer clay will come out onto the paper, so you just need to be aware of that. But probably the more popular work surfaces to use with polymer clay are a ceramic tile, and these you could find at Home Depot or Lowe's or any other home construction type of shop, or perhaps you've recently retiled a room in your house or have a friend who has done that and they may have some extra tiles. So a ceramic tile is a nice surface to use when working with polymer clay. You do want to make sure that the tile is smooth. You don't want any texture on the surface of the ceramic tile because the polymer clay will pick up that surface. My favorite surface to use with polymer clay is a sheet of acrylic, and you can find these sheets of acrylic pre-cut in a variety of sizes, again at a home construction store. On this one I happen to tape a sheet of graph paper to the back, so that way if I'm cutting polymer I have grid lines that I can use to cut the polymer. Okay, slicing tools. There are a number of different tools that you can use to cut your polymer clay. The simplest is a paring knife, and I picked these up at the grocery store, a pack of 2, but that has a little bit of a blade on it, and you can use that to cut your polymer clay. More often though, you will hear of slicing blades, also called a cutting blade, a cutting tool, or a tissue blade. And these come in a couple of different lengths, and they might be a little stiff or a little more bendy, flexible. You can also get them in a wavy shape, and these make nice wavy cuts in your clay. Now these blades are very sharp, so I recommend putting a small bit of painter's tape, a colored tape, or a spot of brightly colored nail polish onto your cutting blade, and you want to put it on the side opposite the sharp end, because inevitably you're working with the clay, you grab the blade, you accidentally flip it upside down, you go to cut, and the sharp slicing end is facing up and you may cut yourself. So make sure that you mark the side of the blade that you want facing up so that the sharp end is facing down. Another tool that you might like to have in your polymer clay tool kit, and you may have these at home already, is an X-Acto blade. And these are nice for making small detailed cuts in your polymer clay. You can also use that end to pick up clay. It's also good if you're cutting out a hole in your clay. 3 other fun tools to have in your polymer clay kit is a needle tool, or some people like to call them pokey tools. The needle tool is a long needle on the end of a wooden handle or a metal handle. This is a nice tool, again, for picking up small bits of clay, for impressing holes into the clay, lots of tiny little holes. You could also use this end for rolling or smoothing an edge of your clay. If you don't have a needle tool, you probably have a knitting needle at home, something you could easily repurpose from your craft room, from another craft. And the knitting needles are fun. They come in a variety of sizes, diameters, and again, you can use this to poke holes, texture the clay. You can use it to put a hole in a round bead. And you can also create your own clay handle on the end of the knitting needle. And this one I did from an old clay design. One of my favorite tools is a ball stylus. And this particular tool at the very end has a small ball. And the ball stylus tool is nice for, again, texturing your clay, because you can make little indentations into the clay. And you could use this end also for picking up clay, or perhaps you have little bits of metal leaf and you can use that end to put the metal leaf on your clay. Now, those tools can also be found at your local hobby store, Michael's, AC Moore, or you might be able to repurpose it from another craft, or perhaps borrow from a friend. But if you don't have access to either of those tools, you may have a bamboo skewer at home. And the bamboo skewers, also with that pointy end, you can use that to poke texture into the clay, to pick up small pieces of clay, to smooth edges of clay. The only thing you need to be careful of with the bamboo skewers is sometimes they have a flat side to them, so you may not get a smooth rolling motion from the bamboo skewer. Other tools that you can use to roll out the clay include a variety of acrylic rods or rolling tools. You can see we got quite a variety here. These acrylic rods may be solid and at about a 6-inch length or a 12-inch length. They may be hollow. This is a smaller one. It's also hollow. What's nice with your rolling tools is gives you a nice area that you can put your hands on and press down onto the clay. One of my favorite rolling tools is this small acrylic rod, and this is nice for smoothing seams on your clay. Another tool that you may already have at home that you can use with your clay is a bone folder. These are nice to use for smoothing clay, for putting texture into clay. This nice pointy end here, if you make hearts, is a great tool to use for making the cleavage part of the heart, the two round top pieces of the heart. You can push that into the clay. Another nice tool to have in your polymer clay kit is a ruler. And the ruler always comes in handy if you're using the X-Acto blade to make a nice smooth line cut. If you work with powders or glitters, having a repurposed cosmetic brush or an inexpensive cosmetic brush is real nice because that makes for easy cleanup if you spill. You could also use a color duster, and depending on the stiffness of the bristles of your brush, you could even use that to put some texture into your polymer clay. If you have an allergy or if you don't like the way clay feels on your skin, you may wish to get some plastic or vinyl gloves to work with the polymer clay. If you work with anything that you're pressing into clay and you don't want that item to stick in the clay, I recommend getting a spritzer bottle that you can fill with water, and then you can just spritz that water onto your clay to use the water as a release so that the item that you press into the clay won't stick to the clay. And finally, for cleanup, you may want to have some hand sanitizer. The hand sanitizer is also nice to use if you're working with some different colors of clay, and some of the colors of clay will stain your hands, the reds, blues, sometimes the greens, so you can use the waterless hand sanitizer to remove the color from your hands as you're working between colors of clay. So there you have it. Some basic tools that you can repurpose from your craft studio. You can purchase, you could borrow from a friend, but basic tools that you can use when you're working with polymer clay. Tools to help you put together a beginner polymer clay toolkit. I hope you found this video useful, and we will see you later. Bye! Repurpose from around the house. You could purchase at your local home